Greetings, salutations, respect, and love. I am Scott, and you are in the Prog Corner. And today we are going to be looking at 1973. Yeah, Pete Pardo over at Sea of Tranquility's been dedicating the entire month of January to these albums that turn 50 years old this year. I'm going to dedicate one episode to it because we do things a little different over here in the Prog Corner. 1973, what a seminal year. You had the Vietnam War ending, Roe v. Wade became law, the Arab oil embargo, you had the Yom Kippur War, you had the Bahamas gaining independence from the UK, you had two of the most famous buildings ever built by humans, were completed in 1973, the Sears Tower in Chicago, the Sydney Opera House. You had all kinds of movies that just really stood the test of time, came out in 73. You had The Exorcist, you had Deliverance, man, that thing still gives me the willies. Paper Moon, Last Tango in Paris, The Sting, and the motion picture adaptation of Jesus Christ Superstar, all 1973. We're going to be talking about the best prog albums of 1973, the top 25. It's just incredible how many great albums came out in 75. I'm 75. What am I talking about here? 73. I'm an idiot. Anyway, you had Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy, The Who's Quadrophenia, Bowie's Aladdin Sane. You had Wings, Band on the Run. Steely Dan dropped Countdown to Ecstasy. Elton John, Goodbye Yellow Brick Road, Alice Cooper, Billion Dollar Babies, Black Sabbath's Bloody Sabbath, Rolling Stones' Goat Head Soup, Springsteen dropped his first two albums in 73, Blue Oyster Cult's Tyranny and Mutation, Hawkwind's great live album Space Ritual, and a whole bunch of great debut albums. Aerosmith dropped their first album in 73, Queen, the New York Dolls, Bachman Turner Overdrive, Leonard Skinner, and some little band called Montrose. Yeah, 73 was just so jam-packed. I got a whole list of ones that did not make my list. Return to Forever, Hymn of the Seventh Galaxy, Can, Future Days, Samla Mamas Mana, Malteed, what a great album that is. Gong, dropped two albums in 73, not least of which was Angel's Egg, Caravan for Girls Who Grow Plump in the Night, Billy Cobham's Spectrum, Aria's Abet Mach Free, Magma's Magnum Opus, Mechanic Destructive Commando, Mahu Vishnu Orchestra drops Birds of Fire. Why is that not on this list? Well, it's a little fusion-y for me, I guess. Peter Hamill's Chameleon, In the Shadow of the Night, or Cerveo Melos. And it keeps going on. This is ridiculous. Henry Cow, Lag End, Metamorphosis, Inferno, Campo de Marte, Eloy's Inside. Roxy Music dropped For Your Pleasure and Stranded in 73. Ash Ra Temple, Join In. The last time Klaus Schultz was with those guys. It's just amazing, all the greatness from 1973. But here we go at number 25. It's the Strawbs Bursting at the Seams. A great, great album. Yeah, Wakeman was long gone by this point, but the album is really terrific. One of my favorite Strawbs albums. I love it. At number 24, it's Kayak's debut, See the Sun. I am a huge Kayak fan, and their first 5 or 6 albums are just terrific for me. At number 23, we're going to Ireland. It's Froop and Future Legends. I love them. They put out 4 amazing albums. Apparently, there's a 5th album that was recorded and completed, but is on some shelf somewhere collecting dust. At number 22, it's Green Slade. They dropped 2 albums in 73. I could have gone with either one. I went with the debut, but Bedside Manners. Almost as good. Some people think it's better. I like them both. And they both got Roger Dean covers. At number 21, Focus 3, the double album from the Dutch band, so great. I love that album so much. It's got the hit, it's got Sylvia on it, but there's so much more to it than that. At number 20, it's Frank Zappa, an overnight sensation. You got to have a Zappa record if you're talking about the best prog albums of any year in the 70s, right? At number 19, we were talking about great debut albums. Well, here's one for you. It's Camel's debut album. Unbelievably good. I mean, I like Mirage and The Snow Glue and Moon Madness just a little bit better, but what a strong debut Camel had at number 18. We're going to Italy and Il Rovescio della Medaglia and Contaminazione. Man, one of my favorite Italian albums. You're going to see on this list, there's a whole bunch of Italian bands making this list. 73 was probably the best year for Italian prog, so there's a lot of Italian representation here. At number 17, it is Nectar and Remember the Future. Yeah, the great British band who moved to Germany and started out life there. A lot of people thought they were a German band. They definitely sound more German than English, but Remember the Future. It even charted in the US. I remember going to a record store, looking at that album cover and buying it just because I liked the album cover, and I was not disappointed. At number 15, it's Annie Haslam and Renaissance. Ashes is Burning came out in 1973. This, what a great record this is. It kind of started that run of greatness that Renaissance had through the 70s. Just fantastic. At number 15, I think, it's Alpha Torres and their self-titled debut album. One of my favorite Italian records. I just adore it. It's just amazing. At number 14, this one might be a little bit low, but I don't care. I got Mike Oldfield, Tubular Bells at number 14, the 14th best prog album in 1973. If Tubular Bells is at number 14, man, what do we got from 1 to 13? It's just crazy. At number 13, it's another Italian album. It's Semiramis and Dedicato a Fraz, one of my favorite Italian records. I just love the diversity on this record. These cats were so incredibly young when they recorded this, and then they just disappeared into the ether, and nobody ever heard from them ever again. At number 12, Staying in Italy and Banco del Maturo Soccoso and their third album, Io Sono Nato Libero. I might prefer Darwin from 1972, but it's real close. This is an amazing record, one of the greatest Italian albums ever. At number 11, it's Jethro Tull and A Passion Play. 1973, man, just so crazy. You think about it, this record made number 1 in the US, as did its predecessor, Thick as a Brick, both of which are just one song, and it made number 1 in the US. Just insane the times. What a great time to be alive. At number 10, we're in the top 10 now. And here's one that, is he prog? Is he not prog? I don't know. I don't care. It's Todd Rundgren and A Wizard, a True Star. Easily my favorite Rundgren album. My favorite Rundgren associated record is probably that first Utopia album, but A Wizard, a True Star, man, just so great. It's one side of prog and one side of Philly soul. I mean, it's just incredible. At number 9, Rick Wakeman and the Six Wives of Henry VIII, his all-instrumental debut. Well, not actually his debut. He had an album out before this when he was a big old nobody, but this was his first real album. And the story goes that when he flew to LA to deliver the master tapes to A&M Records, the A&R guy at A&M said, fantastic, I can't wait to hear what it sounds like when you put the vocals on. And he had to break the news to him like, no, my friend, that's it. There are no vocals. Thank God for the Six Wives of Henry VIII. This is the kind of record Wakeman should always be making. Instrumental prog like The Red Planet and Six Wives. Just amazing. He's got a new album coming out next month. I can't wait to hear it. At number 8, back to Italy and Le Orme and Folona e Serona, their masterpiece, which tells the story of the two different planets. And, one's really successful and rich and happy, and the other one is sad and poor. And yeah, you know what the story's all about. It's fantastic. At number 7, it's Gentle Giant in a Glass House. For years and years, this was a really hard record to find. The American label said, no way, we're not dropping this. So it did not get an American release for years. I had to buy it as an import all those years ago, and what a phenomenal record. Yeah, Phil is gone. Phil Schumann had left after Octopus, but they didn't miss a beat. In a Glass House, one of the best records ever recorded, and it's only at number 7. 1973, man, ridiculous. At number 6, probably my favorite Italian album of all time. It's Musea Rosenbach and Zarathustra. This thing is just crazy. This thing is amazing. If you like, really, really inspired and passionate prog rock, you could do a whole lot worse than Musea Rosenbach at number 5. Yeah, the classic. One of the biggest albums ever, certainly the biggest album, dropped in 1973, and one of the 5 biggest selling albums of all time. Yeah, you see it over my right shoulder. It is Dark Side of the Moon from Pink Floyd. Do I love it? Sure, yeah, I do, but I like Animals and Wish You Were Here more. I probably even like metal better, but it's one of those seminal records, one of those classic records you gotta have in your record collection. It's right up there with like Thriller and Rumors and Metallica's Black Album. It has to be in your collection. Period, point blank, full stop, number 4. It's Emerson, Lake and Palmer with Brain Salad Surgery. Oh, yeah, the last great Emerson, Lake and Palmer album. And it is my favorite Emerson, Lake and Palmer album. It's got one of my most favorite album covers, courtesy H.R. Geiger. Wow, just amazing. Every single song is fantastic. I even like Benny the Bouncer. Are You Ready, Eddie? What was on that? Was it Benny the Bouncer? I even like that. Whatever. It's just phenomenal. It's a great album. Carnival 9, Toccata, Jerusalem. Give me a break. Number 3. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it, but it's Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. I promised Jennifer Allen that I would do an album review of Selling England by the Pound. That's coming up here very, very soon. So yeah, number 3, Genesis, Selling England by the Pound. At number 2, it's King Crimson and Lark's Tongues and Aspect, the album that really, really got me into King Crimson. I had bought the first album, but I liked it, and I really didn't care for Poseidon or Lizard or Islands. I would gain much appreciation for those 3 albums later on, but to me, that Wetton, Bruford, Fripp era, those 3 albums in the 70s, Lark's Tongue, Starless and Bible Black and Red, unimpeachable, absolutely perfect. I love Lark's Tongue. It is my favorite King Crimson album, and I'm not even going to apologize about that. But if you guys know this channel, and if you guys know me, you know exactly what my number 1 album of 1973 is. It's Yes and Tales from Topographic Oceans, the greatest album ever recorded in the history of mankind. Any band, any era, any genre, I stand on that hill. I'll die with that opinion. And yeah. It's just so curious how in 1973 you could have an album like A Passion Play from Jethro Tull hit number 1 on the US charts. Well, Tales from Topographic Oceans did the same trick on the UK charts, hit number 1 in the UK, and just think about the times, man. Think about the records that were selling. People were buying records with 1 song on each side. It's just incredible. What a time. What a great time to be alive. Your boy was like 10 years old, 10, 11 years old in 1973, whatever. No, I was born in 62. Yeah, so at 10. Man, my math skills aren't great. But anyway, that is my wrap up of 1973. Possibly the greatest year in the history of rock and roll. Definitely one of the greatest years in the history of prog rock. And shout out to all my new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining me. I have had a whole slew of new people join up and come on board. Everybody's welcome. We don't talk about politics or religion or anything like that. All we do is talk about the prog rock, baby, and that's what I'm here to do. Anyway, I love you freaks. I'll see you very, very soon whenever I feel like shooting another video. You know how it goes. Anyway, God save the king. And Pippa too. Always Pippa. Always Pippa.